Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Himanshu Misra and I welcome you all once again to the third video of Module 1 Advanced Marketing Orientation case. In the last video, we tried to explore the various factors which led to the closure of Bajaj scooters in India. Today, in this video, we will talk about one more organization. I'm sure all of you must have heard the name of that organization. I'm sure at some point of time all of you must have purchased something or the other from this organization. And this organization was very popular in India because of their aggressive discounts which they were offering to Indian consumers. So they may start with a discount of 50%. Some point of time they were giving a discount of 75% or even 80%. Some point of time they communicated to the audience that we will give you a 50 plus 50% discount. This was a much talked about company in apparel segment in India. Yes, many of you guessed it right. The name was Coutons. So at some point of time Coutons was having more than thousands of stores in India, and it was running very successfully. After 2010, something went wrong, and this organization, in the current state, you will find they are absent from the Indian apparel market. They had to close down their operations, and you may not find even a single store of Coutons in today's time. So what went wrong with Coutons is a very critical question which needs to be analyzed, and there are lessons to be learned for every marketer and every marketing student, that what went wrong and what brought an end to the journey of growth and success of the organizations called Coutons in India. So if we look at Couton, then at some point of time, typically from say mid-90s to 2005 or 2010, this organization was phenomenally successful. It's typically a Bollywood script, a success story wherein how a small business it expanded into a big empire. Then something went wrong and everything it came collapsing down. Everything which a marketer or which a businessman desires for was witnessed in this organization. Sales were happening, sales were growing, the customers were satisfied, and they were opening new stores year after year. And at some point of time, it would not be wrong to say that they had the most number of retail outlets, organized retail outlets in the country, even more than Big Bazaars and all the pantaloons put together in the year 2007 and 8. Then after around say 2010, they started facing some problems, and we will try to analyze what were those problems which typically led to this closure of the business empire of Coutons India Limited. So if you look at some of the history of this particular company, then this company was incorporated in 1994. And they were manufacturing apparels, shoes, accessories, etc. Coutons initially was incorporated as Charlie Creations Private Limited, and it was renamed as Coutons in the year 2006, and in the same year it went public by the name of Coutons Retail India Limited. Anyone who has any interest in investment and share, they would testify this fact that this IPO, it was immensely successful despite being priced in a price band of 370 to 415 INR per share. Coutons, they market their product under the brand name of Coutons, Les Femmes for women's, Couton Juniors, and Charlie Outlaw. Charlie Outlaw was largely for the denim based product. In 2007, they had around 999 outlets across India. Now look at some of the financial figures which are typically the barometer for any business or marketing organization. Look at their profit after tax in the year 2003. In the year which ended on 31st March 2003, their profit was 4.3 million rupees, which increased to 344 million in a span of just 4 years, from March 2003 to March 2007. Now this is something which is phenomenal. This is something which seems to be like a Bollywood or a Hollywood script, that an organization which was hardly earning 4 million profits, in a span of 4 years it grew to 344, which is almost an increase of 80 times. 80 times, which probably any marketer, it is very difficult for any marketer to believe or to think of this kind of growth in such a small span. But the pace at which this organization grew in the next 4 years, that is from 2007 to 2011, this organization was decimated. This organization almost closed their business operations, and that is what it makes us a very interesting study. It makes us a very interesting pick to understand that what went wrong, right? So it was typically the most marvelous journey which the Indian organizations have seen, but it's ended too soon. It was a marvelous journey, but it was a very short journey for sure. Now if you look at financial year 11, that proved to be the worst year in terms of decline in sales which this organization witnessed. The number of garment units sold, it came down from around 30.2 million to 14.2 million, which is say almost 50% in just 1 year. The organization had to close around 479 stores, roughly say they closed around 40% of their stores in the financial year 11, and they closed another 82 in the financial year 12. So in order to restore the business operation, in order to strengthen the business operation, the company approached their lenders as well, but they denied putting in additional money, and a lot of inventory was there blocked. And all of us know that the apparel, it typically operates in cycles. So you have a summer merchandise, you have a winter merchandise, and you have a spring merchandise, and when you're not able to sell them at the desired pace, that will lead to pile up of the inventory. The company, which had around 1400 stores in the year 2008, in the year 11 and 12 they closed around 550 or maybe 600 stores in those 2 years only. The company had an accumulated debt of around 600 crores with an interest rate of around 14%. And this was the time when Lehman Brothers also crashed. So Lehman Brothers, they crashed in the year 2008-9. This company was desperately looking for money. Because of the crash of the Lehman Brothers, the sentiments of the international investors, it was at all-time low. And that is where this company struggled to raise additional money. This company struggled to raise money from the cheaper sources to sustain and to strengthen their business operation. And finally in the year 2011, the government proposed, the budget proposed change in the estimation of excise duty, wherein the government said that now this excise duty of 10%, which was earlier calculated on sales price, will now be calculated at MRP. And this acted like a final blow for this organization, which was already in problems, which was already in cash crunch, which was already sitting on piles of unsold inventory. This turned out to be a final blow. And what this meant, so typically if you look at an organization like Coutons, they were having a product at say 2000 MRP. And now when they are offering it at a discount of 50%, say for example, it was costing around 1000 to the consumers. Out of this 1000, 10% they used to pay as excise duty. Now in this change regime, what the government proposed, that this 10% of the excise duty, which in this case was around 100 INR, will now not be charged at this 1000, but it will be charged at the MRP and not on the billed amount. That means now this will be charged at 2000. The 10% of 2000 will be 200. Now this simply means that my tax liability, with this change only, my tax liability has doubled. In this case, instead of, if earlier I was paying 100 rupees, now I am paying 200 rupees. So the kind of discount model on which they were operating, it actually became a loss-making proposition for them, and as a result, after 2011-12, this organization, they had to shut down all their stores, because now the tax regime was adversely affecting the pricing strategy for which this organization was known for in the Indian market, and that was deep discount. So, and this, this one change, it acted like a final blow which led to the closure of Coutons. So some of the factors which led to the closure of Coutons were probably one, the experts decide that they expanded at a very fast pace. Now, if say in a fashion industry you are opening even a small outlet of say 1000 square feet, it initially requires an investment of say around 50 to 60 lakhs, including everything, right? Now, this kind of a store will break even in next 4 to 5 years, which simply means that you have to keep on supporting this particular store for the next 4 or 5 years. Then, since they expanded very fast and the timing of expansion was such that after 2006-07, when they started expanding, they were requiring huge amount of money to support their new stores. They were trying to raise money from the market. They did successfully with the help of IPO. And then when they were looking for raising some more money, the Lehman Brothers crisis happened, as a result of which all the financial sources, they declined, and they were not offering any help to Coutons to bail them out. And in this critical situation, the moment the government proposed this new law in the budget, their entire business, it became non-sustainable, it became non-viable. So for the failure or for the closure of Coutons, typically it's a mix of micro as well as macro factors which were responsible. Micro factors were that probably they were not able to manage the capital, probably they were not able to manage the expansion, probably they were not able to manage their huge piles of unsold inventory. And the macro factor included the change in the taxation regime proposed by the government. And these factors together, it led to the closure of the very successful venture or the very successful organization called Coutons, right? And Coutons is not alone. I hope all of you would remember that there were organizations by the name of Ginny and Johnny and Spiker. Both these organizations, they almost met the same fate. They were also riding the success wave, and they were opening a lot of new outlets. Then the problem was that in order to support this new outlet, they were also requiring some additional money which they were not able to raise. So one common factor which behind the decline, or which is behind the closure of, or which is behind the say failure of organizations like Coutons, Ginny and Johnny and Spiker, one common factor is their inability to manage the unsold inventory, their inability to manage the capital when it was required by their respective businesses. And why they were not able to raise capital was largely because of the failure, because of the closure of Lehman Brothers. So Lehman Brothers, they collapsed in some different country, but it had an impact on Indian businesses as well, which forces us to ponder that as a marketer, the job is very, very difficult. You have to ensure that all the internal factors which are within the control of the organization, they are well aligned, they are well synchronized. You have to ensure that in the macro environment, you have to keep a close eye on whatever is happening in your own country. Not only that, you have to keep a very close eye on what is happening in the international markets. Maybe you are not dealing with any international market, but still whatever happens in the international market, that shapes the events, the activities which happen in your domestic country as well, which makes the job of a marketer much more critical. So I'm sure that with the help of this video, you are now in a position to better understand that how to ensure that that businesses are able to enjoy continued, long and extended success in the business world. Thank you.